our team today for the CEO panel is reshaping operators' business model. So everyone will give us his opinion based on his operation, his experience, okay? And what the vision for the future, how you will see, every one of you, how you see the future, okay, business model for the operator. Of course, with all the economic effect, digital service, game change, customer behavior change, okay? With all this change, how you see the new operators models. I'll start by Ahmad.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Toni. Actually, I do agree with you that most of the telecom operators all across the world is facing this challenge. Some of them started changing their business models. Some of them are still on the way to change their business model, and some of them are still thinking of what do we need to do moving forward. When it comes to telecommunication and the technology, it's developing in a very fast way. We're facing competition from, for example, OTT. The demand on data is increasing so high. The revenues and the profitability generated from data is not as aggressive and as good as the one we used to generate from the voice. So I think every operator is facing this question today, and how do we need to move forward in the future. All the revenues and profits are under pressure across the region when we're talking about the Middle East region. So and what we believe in, and we have to move into a fully integrated telecommunication services. We have to utilize the hype of the data usage and the demand on data and providing value-added services. We have seen initiatives going all around the region. It's not yet mature. It does not represent a major revenue share of the total revenue for the operators, but still it carries the potential moving forward. So I believe for operators, yes, they do have to change their business models. Yes, we have to utilize the data services, and to do that and to be successful in that, I don't think as telecom operators can do it on their own. Telecom operators, they need to have strategic alliances and partnerships with other sectors. Today, the telecom infrastructure and the telecom network is the biggest in each and every country. In every house, you'll find a mobile phone, and we're reaching the whole population. Penetration rates are so high. We're serving all the industries and all the sectors. So there has to be, telecom has to support the initiatives of the other sectors in going their e-government initiatives or the m-government initiatives. We have to partner with the education, we need to partner with the health, and we need to tie up with the financial system in the region. Of course, we're facing our challenges because this is not something that our governments, they recognize or they support at the moment. It's still, as I said, it's at an immature stage, but I believe, and if we keep pushing it harder, we'll reach the maturity where the utilization of our infrastructure and the utilization of our reach to customers will be much better than what we are doing today, and that will replace the declines that we'll face moving forward in the traditional mobile services of voice and SMS.
Thank you. Marwan, Alfa, I guess it's one of the most active operators riding the change, the wave of change into digital. All your offers, everything is for targeting social media. It's like for you have something for every package, every need. Okay, so you really riding the wave. Okay, but what is your target? How you get benefit from this change?
I mean, first, just going back to the business model. I mean, the reason why it's changing because of a very simple reason, which is the data explosion. And finally, we as operators, we understood what customer needs. Instead of giving the customer what really we thought was his actual needs. So if you take Alfa as an example and Lebanon in general and go back in the last 2 years, specifically on the data explosion part, our subscribers base has grown by almost 5 times on the data side. Traffic has increased by 10-fold, and this traffic is expected in the next 2 years to triple as well. So in less than 4 years, we're talking about a volume of data traffic that grew from almost 0 to 30 times in less than 4 years, which is really a tremendous challenge to face. And as I said, this is really driven by the fact that we were able to understand what the customer wants in terms of services, and we moved from that network-centric operation or operational model to a service end-to-end proposition that was translated in different services and packages we are offering to the consumer. So this is really overwhelming for us in Lebanon. And we expect this to continue growing, and even people talking about 500 penetration instead of the current 130% penetration worldwide average. So this means that for every citizen, there will be 5 connected devices around him, which is really, again, tremendous in terms of growth and challenges for us.
Nagi, you have special case. You're our only operator now from Africa, besides South Sudan. Sorry. Okay, in Africa, you have different models, pricing, mobile money, different need for your consumers. So how you will see the change going for African consumer?
Exactly. I think we started this morning a little bit with Khalifa and with a little bit what Osman said to tackle this project or this issue. Basically, changing a business model. A business model is the whole thing. For sure, there is the revenue streams and all the services that we'll be launching, but there is also all the costing structure and the organizational structure in each of our individual companies to see what we need to do to perform the best in our individual markets. We are unfortunate enough in this part of the world to face a high number of competitors. We're talking about at least 5 to 6 players in each market. So when you are at this level of competition, for sure the price level that you are facing are much more aggressive than what we would face in the Middle East. Knowing that, unless we change fundamentally the way we do the business, we cannot survive. So this is the reason for which we have engaged into a number of initiatives, mostly outsourcing a lot the management of our networks, eventually divesting our towers, eventually getting more and more into site sharing. All these initiatives in order to be able to reduce the cost of operating the model, our model. On the second side, of course, the organization. Unless you have people whose minded are completely different than working in a traditional way, you cannot operate in these highly competitive environment in a standard fashion as we would do in other places. Once you have these recipes, which are at the same time the cost structure and the organization, then you can really focus on the various products that your customer needs, as Marwan is saying. Some of the products Khalifa described earlier, one of the main products that we've launched, and we've been very active these years in most of our footprint in Africa, is mobile money. We could see that maybe in some places, mature market, where the percentage of penetration of bank accounts is high, you would not have the same appetite and need for mobile transaction or mobile banking transaction. In this part of the world where the number of bank account holders is very low, of course, mobiles come as the first alternative to use your handset as a vehicle to do your banking transactions, your payment, your commerce, and then later on your advertising, and later on your entertainment. So basically from a structure which is a revised structure, from an organization which is geared towards services and customer needs, then we can focus really on each individual need or that the customers are looking for. And this is what basically within Etisalat we've been building for the past years.
Then how do you see the change coming at the operator business model?
I mean, the change is undeniable. And I think what we are really learning from the OTT player is that rather than becoming focused on the network, we are starting to get much more focused on the customer itself. And being focused on the customer is basically going all through, I would say, the initiatives that we talked about, like having better analytics, basically strengthening the relation with the customer, being able to understand how they're using the network in order basically to provide them with the right services and solutions. So there's a lot of work that has to be done at the access level in order to maintain and to build on the key advantage that the mobile operators and the fixed operators have, which is basically the access to the customer. This is something on which has to be supplemented by a better understanding of the customer to be able to provide a compelling, I would say, service and products to him. At the same time, every market is different from the other. As Nagi said, Africa presents totally different challenges from what the Middle East or from what the CIS countries do provide. So for every country, you have to tailor-make your offering in order to basically match the requirements and the challenges, which would be basically different. In Africa, still the demand is, I would say, is with respect to basic services, having adequate network technology, adequate coverage, enough capacity, and one should not, I would say, jump directly into, I would say, 4G in order simply, I would say, to have that available. And it's extremely important that, like Nagi said, initiatives like mobile commerce are much prone to, I would say, for success in Africa than in elsewhere due to the low percentage of banked people over there. So it's also part of, I would say, of every environment where you have to tweak it in order to make it correspondent to the challenges that you have in each market.
Qualcomm is inside the business, especially with the expansion of mobility. And all the operators counting on Qualcomm, not only the handset manufacturer for your chip or your application development program, but also I was 2 weeks ago in LTE, North America, in Dallas. And all the topic, everybody is waiting for Qualcomm chip for the LTE Advance, which enable indoor and outdoor connection at the same time, without need for any other facility. So Qualcomm is always inside the technology, providing more service into mobility and even mobile health, especially mobile health. So how do you think Qualcomm, as a technology vendor or technology provider, okay, sees the change coming to the industry and the business model of the operator?
Yes, so actually Qualcomm was in the network service business a while back. So what makes Qualcomm quite unique is that we were in the core of the network, the device, and the ecosystem itself, the application ecosystem, which makes our appreciation for the infrastructure side and the device side quite high, which will make Hatem quite happy. So our vision of the future of the industry comes from the fact that we are plugged in on the network side and the device side and the application side as well. From a technology perspective, we look at it from two different perspectives. The first one is how can we help the operator achieve their commercial model and their business model? We talked about the Internet of Everything. We talked about the 1000x challenge, which is we expect within the next 3 years that the data tsunami is going to come and you're going to have to deal with 1,000 times more data than you have today. So we work on the technology that makes it happen, which is the LTE Advanced. So we announced the first chip that has LTE Advanced, as well as many other multimedia features that makes the performance quite high on the device. But what you've seen here today, no one even mentioned LTE once. So everyone's talking about services, and there were many references to Khalifa's debate, which was mostly around vertical markets, the connected transport, the smart education, the e-care. So all that attention has shifted from the technology itself to how do we actually make the technology work for the consumer. And this is what we're working on today as well on our side. So we have shifted our focus towards building up the site verticals So it's no longer about just the smartphone. We have achieved our goal of getting high penetration of smartphones. We have achieved our goal of achieving very high performances on these technologies and devices. Now, how do we build the ecosystem around transport? You have car-to-car communication. You have car-to-sensor communication. Something around security, like you said, on the roads of the nations of the Gulf, the very high fatality rates. How do you prevent accidents from happening? By using that technology, by having cars give alerts to other cars that something is about to happen. So a lot can be worked on the airport side, on the road transportation, and connecting the whole infrastructure together. Same thing, we're talking about the education. We want to move from the idea of putting a tablet in front of a student to putting a full ecosystem in front of a student. That is, there will be a student zone on that tablet. There will be a teacher zone or a school zone. There will be a parent zone. And we want to work together with the operators and with the developers on bringing that to the classroom. And this is where the regulatory aspect comes into play, and working with the government becomes important. So the shift is from the technology, using the technology to support these vertical markets. And our focus now is moving. We see three trends happening on a global level, which is the connected auto. And today you have close to 30% on the high end comes and fully enabled with a SIM card and an LTE hub. So your car is an LTE hub, but it's not being used. I mean, I have a SIM card in my car. I haven't used it for any reason, unless if you want to use it as a Wi-Fi hotspot. But it has to be much more than that. So this is where we want to drive it. The second one is the tablet for verticals, education and health. And the third one is the connected home. So once you have the car and your tablets and all these devices, so when Khalifa mentioned access to data across multiple devices, how do they connect back to your hub, which is your home? And these are the three areas we are working on. Just to finish with one last thought, which is on the technology side, we talk about the digital sixth sense and having your device learn new technologies. We are working on the next generation computing platform called neural computing, and you're going to have the processor mimic the brain in the way it computes and the way the user uses his smartphones or devices. And then based on that, the processor itself rewires so that it's the most efficient delivery to the device. So the technology is there. We want to work with the industry players on how to drive it towards an ecosystem-based approach and vertical-based approach, and how to influence the 3GPP and the standards in adopting these technologies that will make it happen. Etisalat is a key member of 3GPP, and they're very active there, that we can increase our activity there to drive a common vision.
Okay, now Hassan, you're now on top of an operation in Saudi, the largest telecom market in the Middle East. So how you see the change coming?
Well, I can confirm that we are in the middle of the data tsunami. As you know, in the Saudi market, we have a high penetration for smartphone. For example, all the new handsets that are being sold, we are at the level of like 70% penetration for the smartphones. Saudi are not only using the phone as a communication tool, as you all know. It's access to information, access to entertainment, access to the rest of the world. So there is a huge demand and huge appetite for data usage. Just to give you an indication, I believe from the reports we are reading that there is like 90 million YouTube views per day in the Saudi market. So this will give you just an indication of what is the level that is there. So this is like great for operator, because it's from one side a challenge to build the infrastructure, to have the the
support
right
this
environment to support this and to cater. But at the same time, this is also a new opportunity for us to develop further our activity. Now, as you can tell from the different discussion that we heard in the morning, some operators are building their own capability and to do everything and to have it like in-house. For Zain KSA, we believe that we will have to take a different approach for that. We don't think that the market will have like all players doing the same things at the same time. We prefer that instead of doing it ourselves, we prefer that we go and partner. We do our role as mobile operator. We are focusing on that role, and we are happy to partner on the rest, whether content or other infrastructure with the other players. And this is what we are doing.
Wasim, I know you shift from vendor side to operator side. So maybe you can tackle the both, how you see the shaping a new model.
Yeah, basically, the new telecommunication model will, the changes are coming, yes, and the telecom sector will definitely impact the global economy. Data is the main driver for that. What's new? I would say the customer experience is an area that we need to focus on. That will bring us a leverage on what we know and what the markets need. For this, we should look into a proper engagement of the stakeholders. Now, the stakeholders in the sector are becoming bigger and bigger. We're not talking about OTT, we're talking about education, we're talking about health, we're talking about, just as I'm coming from South Sudan, we're having in mind the CSR activities that will also help the telecom sector in developing and contributing to the development of the country. So part of the stakeholders, of course, are the technology parts. But the technology, like has been said this morning, is an important player. But this is an area where the mobile operator today might think of, give it to the expert to manage it, and then focus on the customer experience and focus on how can we cope with the changes coming to the sector.
Okay, now I will go for questions, and anyone can take and answer. How the operator facing the competition from digital service revolution? Who would like to comment? Yeah, okay, Hassan, please.
You allow me, this is like a debate that we are, personally I've been hearing this for the last maybe 3-4 years. We are always debating it. And if you look at what's happening from the operator side, I'm not seeing much happening to change this. Okay, we are talking about threats and competition. And it is, in a way, yes, it is a true threat, and it is affecting, if I may say, our business model.
No, it's not only the challenge only. It's also the competition between operators.
Yes, but this
because of the digital revolution.
And I will come to this, if you allow me. The point is today, are we really the one that can change this? And maybe there is a need to make a definition for what is the role of an operator. Because as I believe Osman was saying, we will have to, today we are in a situation where we'll have to accept the reality that the customer would like to have Google, okay, and will not accept to have a service without Google or YouTube or Facebook or whatever, you name it, okay? Whereas if you look from the other side, Google, Facebook, and others can provide their service without X operator, which is a challenge, and this is a reality. So we will have to take the situation the way it is, and we will have to face it and see how we can grow our business by following the wave and be part of it, not to be against it. Now, the point is that we are investing heavily in our infrastructure. We are investing heavily in having license, creating jobs, creating lots of investment is being made by the operator. We just want to make sure that we can secure the return on investment for our shareholders. For that reason, I believe we need to do our business in a smarter way. If we look at what we are doing until today, and you look and compare the offers that operators are doing on data services, it's like really going into the other direction. In order, again, to protect the voice revenue, we are offering the data at very low price, which in my opinion is wrong because, and I'm talking under the control of the expert in the technology, data is eating more of our network, and it has to be priced differently. So the relation that is happening between data and voice is like really, we can't continue doing that based on protecting the revenue from the voice. We will have to change the way we are conducting our business.
Anyone? Come, Ahmad, please.
I have to agree with Hassan. Pricing is a challenge. Competitors in each and every country need to realize the importance of pricing data by understanding how data is being used, by the consumers. On the other hand, we need to understand the behavioral aspect of the consumer when utilizing data and plan our future accordingly. What is it that we have the advantage over? I agree that there is a digital revolution. I agree that most of our customers are utilizing a good amount of the capacity into YouTube and social media aspect. But at the end of the day, we have the advantage of being the local operator. We have the advantage of being the local market operator. What do the customer wants and need of a customized and localized digital solutions that can be provided by the operators in cooperation and in alliance with other digital media providers, where we can offer something, a value-added service to our services that can compensate and compete with the need of the digital services by our consumers, which is something that need to be in the plans for the operators. Applications and content is a future for the operator. Services that can be provided over the data network is an opportunity for the operator. I think with Dubai and the UAE, going into the mobile government, we'll realize the importance of mobile competing with the digital evolution. The minute we see more services on the mobile in the UAE, the more we'll see the operators benefiting out of it, either on transactional fees or on another thing is, I think we spoke about it in previous conferences, mobile advertising, for example. How much is spent on advertising in the Middle East and how much is spent on mobile advertising in the Middle East. I believe the mobile share of the total advertising budget in the Middle East does not exceed 5%.
Okay, but now this the revolution of digital, okay, what you said is correct. But how you facing the competition? Because it's opportunity for you, it's opportunity for your competitors, the other operators, okay?
Same, Tony. The more you'll be ahead of your competition and the solution that you are providing, it's an open market. It all depends on your research and development. Most of the mobile, I think you have seen the trend lately, where most of the mobile operators are forming a new division in the company called transformation division. So everybody today believes in transformation. The way we do business, the way we build services, the way we plan for the future, the way we invest in infrastructure, connecting the infrastructure investment to the commercial need.
So the opportunities are equal for all operators then?
Of course.
So which means it's just the price differentiation now? The price war?
Just emphasizing, if you allow me, Tony, GSMA recently announced that 50% of data traffic by 2018 would come from video streaming. So this really highlights the pressure that we will have as mobile operators, first to cater for that traffic by having the infrastructure available and ready for that. And second, really how to monetize that huge amount of traffic by that time. So this is where the pricing discussion or debate is very important.
The competition problem is the pricing, not the digital.
But again, recent discussions, recent trip to South Korea and discussions with the operators that have revealed that they managed with their model that they have over there to increase their ARPU from around $25 to $29. So there is room to monetize the data traffic that you have, provided that you have the right strategy in place. And again, I guess here the regulators play a role as well in regulating the market and making sure that there is no price erosion on that front. We are all moving as mobile operators from voice segmented bundles to unlimited voice with data segmented bundles. So this is the trend that we see today. So this is what we need to capitalize on to make sure that we are monetizing on that data traffic and getting return for the infrastructure investment we are putting in place.
Nagi, how do you see?
I think there are two conflicting directions that you are facing as operators. First of all, the competition between operators, where we are, yes, competing on prices, what kind of bundles, unlimited, limited, fair usage policy, etc., and how we can monetize the content that we are charging and what kind of metering that somebody talked about this morning. What are we metering and charging? Is it per SMS, per image, per Facebook posting, per etc.? And at the same time, the conflicting or contradictory path that the OTT are using is to try to have bundles as non-transparent as possible so that you cannot discriminate in pricing, so that you can only have one way to charge, which is charging for usage in terms of megabytes or bytes itself. So, and this is where, indeed, the regulators have a clear role to play to try to see how much we want to be able to go into details and to be able to charge differently when it's about 2 megabytes that you want per month or charging per image.
So your policy in Africa is pay as you use?
Well, it depends because we are operating in a number of markets, and in each market we are using different strategies. In some markets where we have launched 3G recently, we are starting to charge not on a pay as you use, but per event. So you can charge to have a social media subscription where you basically only pay for Facebook. Another strategy would be if you are an internet user, then you can have subscription for the internet user. So it's basically separating and segregating the subscription based on the customer usage. In other markets where you might have more competition in some field, you cannot do this segmentation approach. You have to charge per bundles or per megabyte and basically play as the market rule. And this is where I think operators have to be mature enough to try to see what is the next level of that game. Should we go all into that price war Marwan was saying about it, how we can change from the unlimited data to the unlimited voice with segmented data. Now, how the overall markets or the digital services are gearing us towards one direction or others, and how the Apples and Googles are forcing us or cornering us in places where we would not wish to go, but unless regulation allows or disallows things, we will be forced to go.
Hassan, you want to elaborate?
Yes. Again, it's like related to demand and supply. And you will be surprised that the competition on data, although it is priced today, I believe it's not going to be priced. It will be more capacity. And clearly, we are going into more and more consumers and customers that would like to consume more of data and video communication.
So another challenge is the data volume for the operator.
It is capacity, it's availing the capacity, and you know, same like we see in the airline industry. I believe that soon we will start seeing maybe different class of services. If you want the basic, you can have a basic package, economy class if you want. And if you want to have more room, more space, faster service, then you will have to pay for business class or premier. So this is where we are going. I believe that capacity will be the real challenge for operator, and our focus is more about capacity, and the challenge and the competition will be more about who will be able to absorb or to provide quality of service with the right capacity, more than it is on price.
Ahmad, again.
I believe Hassan covered it. Capacity, the challenge is not only competition. It's not that we need to compete. The competitors is one factor. The government and regulatory aspects is another factor. The capacity is one of the factors. And
This is mostly in Jordan also.
Mostly in Jordan,
You don't have friendly regulator.
And the frequencies are priced at a very high price. On the other hand, it depends from a market to a market. And for us, even in the same country, Amman for us is more challenging than the northern part or the southern part, where the way you build your network in Amman is so challenging. The acquisition of locations. When you talk about wireless internet coverage, it's not similar to a wired internet coverage. So there are so many challenges that we're facing. Plus, we still did not stabilize the relation with the other digital media, the players in the digital world.
OTT.
Either OTT or any other company or operator who works into. We did not still at a mature relation with the application developers, for example. But we have some success stories in Jordan. Although, as I said, and I'll keep saying, it's still at an immature stage. It's heading to maturity. For example, we launched a vehicle tracking through mobile application. And the demand is good on the service, and we secure a revenue from a completely different service where the only thing we're utilizing our data infrastructure, where the offloading of data is important. Today, when you want to cater for the mass, you'll have to consider that you have a 5% or a 10% of those whom you are offering services to are abusers of the network or are very high users of the network. So you need to have a special solution for those, not to affect the customer experience of the others. That's why we are having some solutions, and through studying an area by area where we have an offloading policy, making Wi-Fi available, making fiber trenching available. And this happened in the US, for example. In the US, sometimes you'll get on your mobile, you are of our top 5% users of data, please shift to Wi-Fi, and you are immediately throttled on the mobile. So what they do is they get you out of the network, not to affect the experience of the other users.
Thank you. Now, Wasim.
I tend to disagree a bit with the capacity, with the capacity challenge or constraint, just to make the debate more lively. I think it's a matter of strategy. If we decide strategically that we want to ride that wave of data and we have the investments in place, then give it to technical people will make it happen in terms of capacity. There is no issue about that. People like Ericsson, NSN, etc., they have the right technology in place to make or to avail that capacity, provided that you have that strategy already in place. The challenge would be really, as I said, on monetizing and having the return on investment, and this is where the competition that you mentioned plays a major role.
Of course, but for example...
But capacity, again, component is the easiest part of the equation.
Of course, but Lebanese market has double effect of the capacity. Because, the capacity for the roamers, for example, is one of them.
Not only that.
No, what do you mean by
and because the capacity, even in the country, even with,
this is not
with
capacity.
10 times,
this is
you're
again
increasing
pricing.
10 times.
This is again pricing.
So we still need more capacity.
This is pricing. It's not capacity.
Lebanese market.
It's pricing because, if you have more, you will sell less.
Demand and supply.
But because you don't have a lot of capacity, okay, you will sell high.
No, take the capacity in a broader perspective.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
put it in
you
the
have a lot
Lebanese
of
perspective
capacity
where-
you're not using. You
No,
can
no,
maybe
no, no, I'm talking
reduce
globally.
the price
I'm
of
talking,
the
I'm talking,
roamers.
I'm talking globally. I mean, and the experts are here from NSN
Yeah,
and Ericsson,
sure.
and Hatem even can confirm that. This is the easiest part of the equation. Getting capacity in place, provided you have the right funds and
Guessing
investment
infrastructure for capacity, yes. You have the investment, you can do it.
Absolutely.
But also,
Then
you have
it's
to
a matter
increase your
of
capacity.
what to run on
You
that.
have to increase your capacity, okay, also with the wholesale.
Tony, if you allow me, you know, we just changed made some changes on our prices in our market in
Saudi
KSA,
market?
in the Saudi market, and you see immediately the jump in the usage. Unfortunately, I will have to say, Marwan, that in Lebanon we don't have this elasticity because we are not enjoying a competitive market. As you know, the Lebanese market is completely regulated, and we are not seeing the real price elasticity. Until this market will be open, then maybe it will be a different experience. In the market that are fully open and competitive, we are seeing people would like to use, and the more you can give them, the more they will use. And demand on data is really going very fast, and price related to that demand based on the capacity that you have is really correlated, in my opinion.
Marwan, Alfa has been creative of making really nice bundles
and
for data,
but
it has nothing to do with the capacity of the whole country.
I started by saying that the data traffic grew in Lebanon by 30 times so far, which means there is a certain capacity, demand in place, and there are bundles that met the customer needs and requirements, and that's why this traffic came on board. It's not stagnating in terms of market in Lebanon. I'm not saying there is really full competition. No, there isn't full competition. What I said on the capacity side was more of a global comment, not related to the Lebanese environment or perspective. And again, I confirm that coming from a technical background as well, this is the easiest part of the equation.
I agree. But also I talk sometimes as a user, consumer. When I go to Lebanon, I cannot roam from my boss mobile. It's Salat or do. Boss is blocked for, or you have to pay for kilobyte $3
it's again
per kilobyte.
It's a pricing issue.
Yeah, it's a price issue. Wasim, I will come back to you with ask for West question. You're in very young market, South Sudan. So how is the data? How is this competition going there?
Actually, South Sudan have its own challenges. Bringing data capacity to the country is a big challenge because it doesn't have access to the sea cable. This is an inland country. The only possibility is through satellite, and now we're trying to bring fiber to microwave so that we have, although this is definitely will remain a very limited capacity. But in a challenging country where, let's say, 70% of the population is below 30, there is definitely a big anger and a big need and a big, requirement on providing them with data. They would love that. But however, still, the capacity is an issue. What you have, how you can manage it, and how you can offer it. Regardless of the rarity of this is a jewelry, having data capacity with a certain bandwidth in South Sudan, this is definitely like something rare. However, you cannot compete on price. This is again, you cannot just increase your prices, and you cannot say, because I'm having rare products, that I can put any price. The market is regulated in a way or another, with the limitations of the growth of the economy that are affecting the country.
Saying you have also operation in
definitely, yes.
in South Sudan.
I mean, we're facing the same difficulties, and again, it's a focus which is totally, I would say, for the moment, not really geared toward data, although basically 3G services are offered, and all operators are trying to gain access to the fiber optic cable via Kenya or Uganda. The matter is really totally different, and you have realities, economic constraints and reality which prevent you, I would say, from venturing into aggressive price wars, because the cost of operating in South Sudan is one of really the highest that we know of.
Now, let's say, how is your vision, in very short answer, for the future of the business transformation?
My vision is in one way that we have to find, I would say, the competition is not happening only on data. It's also happening on voice. Today in Vivacell MTS Armenia, we're seeing 40 million minutes of Skype, which are per month, which are almost the same number of minutes that are happening off net, which means that we're talking competition on data, and the competition is also happening in our own terrain, which is really the voice itself. So the reality is, one, we have to clearly, as operators, work to do what we want. But like what's happening in a way in the financial industry, we have also to request the intervention, I would say, of the regulator and of the government in order to regulate and to justify the high expenses that we are putting on investments in the infrastructure.
How you see the vision, Hassan, for the future?
I believe we can learn from the markets that are ahead of us. If you look at Japan, South Korea, these markets are like really ahead of us, and we can learn from them. The operator there is no longer making only money from telecom, pure telecom services. It's more about creating the right ecosystem where partnership can create value, and what we will be losing from one side, it will be gained from the other side, and we still have a lot of value from what we are doing, building the right infrastructure, having these capabilities, billing, customer service, distribution network. So operator has important assets in their market, and they can capitalize on this through partnership.
No one elaborate about enterprise service as new income, cloud, data storage. No one tackles this issue, and also now it's a source of income also for enterprise services, any enterprise services, banks, finance, insurance. Nagi.
Yeah, I mean, Atlantique Telecom operating in a number of countries in Africa, we do work a lot into synergy and creating center of excellence. So when it comes to cloud services, for example, we are basically deploying a number of activities in a central base that will be able to serve a number of countries. First of all, to be able to provide the services in the places where the service is not available. And secondly, to be able to provide these services at the lowest cost as possible, so that the price that you give it to the customer will be as affordable as possible. And based on this center of excellence, you can develop further services around it, whether it is mobile health services, whether it is education, whether it is access to e-government or m-government applications. So again, as Marwan is saying, the importance is to provide the technology, and there are experts who know how to provide this infrastructure. The issue is how to sell it, how to monetize it, and we basically apply very simple rules of marketing. Don't give for free what you can charge, and don't overcharge, because it will get against you in the long term. So the price should be balanced, it should be fair, but while you are doing a fair pricing, you need to make sure that you control your cost structure so that you become as efficient and as profitable as possible. And then how to widen the various portfolio of services that you are having, from a traditional mobile player providing services, voice, data, SMS, etc., to a wider range of services that goes beyond what a traditional operator used to do, what other smaller players are seeing much faster than us, and that's much more dynamic in providing than we do.
No, I think one main asset we have as mobile operator is the billing capabilities. It was mentioned earlier, and this is what we need to expose. By billing, I mean the operator billing feature that we have, and exposing our own APIs to service providers and third parties. And this joins the point that you mentioned about the cloud and other service providers that can join the ecosystem once we open this environment to them. And again, as Hassan mentioned, partnerships is the right model going forward between us and these service providers and third parties, so that the pie can be shared between all the players.
I believe, Toni, in the future, what we're looking for is the maximum utilization of our infrastructure and our investment in the infrastructure. And the best optimization of our resources, where we can achieve the operational excellence in everything that we do. I do agree with you, enterprise solutions is one of the most consistently growing line of the revenue for us as Zain Jordan. And there is so much that we can do over there, but still it all connected to each other. It all connected. Today we are growing our fiber infrastructure in Jordan. We're having our international deals that serves enterprises. When it comes to cloud computing, I believe cloud computing in the Middle East, in my opinion, the way I see it, or maybe this is Jordan in specific, it's not mature yet. I mean, people, the demand is not so high over cloud services at the moment. Yet, for a telecom operator to have cloud services infrastructure up and running, it doesn't take time, nor it takes a high investment. At the end of the day, this will be a response to a demand once the demand is unleashed 100%.
Thank you. Anyone would like to add something for the future vision? Okay, now it's time then I will take question from the audience. We need the micro. Okay, please state your name, your organization, and to whom you're addressing your question, please.
Start by Andy.
I have a question, not specific to any of them, but most of the CEOs here. The discussion that we've been having today, specifically on pricing, is twofold. One, finding out ways in which pricing can be creatively done through packages like a social package, like a Google package only. And the other is premium services, high-speed data, etc. Specifically to the first one, which is pricing for a social package, pricing for a certain WhatsApp package, stuff like that. What we're seeing is, for example, if there's a social Facebook package that would have an embedded YouTube video, a WhatsApp message would have a link to something else. How do those parameters come into play when specifically these packages are designed, and what do you see going forward as a way to mitigate these? Because there's so much interlinked that it's difficult to now define one package as a sports package or a social package for only WhatsApp or stuff like that, because everything is so much interrelated. How do you see that transforming over the coming few years, and how could that be addressed going forward?
Please.
Maybe I can answer briefly. You know, sometimes you go in a restaurant and you have a buffet. When you enter, the waiter can tell you, do you want the starter only the salad, or do you want the full set of buffet? If you take the salad only, you're not forbidden to take a dessert or an a la carte menu, but you will pay for it. So basically, it is something quite similar. If you are taking the social package, that doesn't mean you cannot use email or you cannot use other type of services, but maybe the charging will be different. Maybe you will pay per event, maybe you will pay per volume, but it will not be embedded in your overall bundle as such.
Just to sort of add on to this, what I was saying was, if from a user perspective, if you sort of see it from a user perspective, if, for example, I have a Facebook package only, and I have an embedded video on my Facebook page, to the user that's still using a Facebook, but from an operator perspective, that's also consuming a lot of video on a YouTube. So from a user mindset perspective as well, if a user only using Facebook suddenly sees a package that he's paying for over and above the video usage, it's slightly difficult for the users, common users, to really understand the difference. And how do that also gets impacted negatively, perhaps, if we call it a bill shock for the users to see they're paying more? Those matrices, not only from a technology perspective of identifying that there's a data usage, but also the overall business around it.
Okay, I mean, at the end, it's a matter of presentation. I specifically took the restaurant example because people are not shocked when they go into this restaurant and they take the salad bar only and they will pay for the dessert. There will not be offense and they still return to that restaurant. So at the end, it's a matter of transparency and it's a matter of communication, how you communicate early enough and in full transparency of what you are getting for what price.
I think, just if I may add onto that, it's also related to the operator analytics itself. So usually, sometimes it is up to the operator to analyze the behavior and the usage of the customer. And Facebook basically package could be a way to save money for the customer, that you will be able to tell him that by getting this package and by paying all of those extras, you will still be saving money. So all of these packages usually are basically in order also to try to help the customer, and the analysis is done by the operator and properly communicated to the customer, as Nagi has said.
Okay, we'll take another question now, please.
Ricardo Tavares from Tech Policy Global Policy Consulting. I have a question for Jay Srage from Qualcomm. So we have a clear picture from the speech of the different operators that data traffic is going faster than the ability of the operators to bill for it, right? So on the technology side, not all, in addition, not all applications have the same, heavy weight on the network. On the technology side, what can be done to optimize the network in a way that it minimizes the negative impact? Because in the end of the day, the OTTs also are important for upgrades for 3G, for example, and other mobile technologies. It's driven by the OTTs. They create some sort of value, but they also weight on the operators. How to solve, is there a contribution of technology for this puzzle?
Right, and actually this goes back a little bit. This goes back a little bit to what Hassan was mentioning on the capacity side. So we're addressing the topic from two perspectives. So one is on if you have plenty of spectrum and you also have enough investments, then you don't need to worry as much about it, and you can provide a blanket coverage and blanket capacity for your consumers. But for most, there is an issue of cost and there is an issue of spectrum. On the cost side of the equation, the topology can be actually enhanced without having to spend significant investments on the infrastructure side, with the deployment of small cells and in a way that makes it all work on the LTE and the 3G side, but more towards LTE. When you look at the spectrum, and this is where actually you can manage the usage and the applications depending on the user, and that's going to be more on the carrier aggregation. So you have your specific anchor that's delivering the data on the LTE spectrum. And then you can add to it, whether in the unlicensed space or in the licensed space, an additional carrier that delivers the data to the consumer based on their needs. So the network will actually measure who's actually going to need the data the most, and they will supply that data on that additional channel. So that, from the perspective of spectrum management and cost management, you also achieve data usage management on the consumer side. Again, this is going to be a 2 to 3 year time frame because before all of these are actually commercial and in place, and things have just started to happen. But if you look at where we were 2 years ago, when I said that no one talked about LTE, because LTE is now a given. 2 years ago, everyone was talking about how do we get LTE deployed. Same thing is going to be here now. We're talking about how do we manage capacity. 2 years from now, we're going to have all these solutions in place to manage that capacity. Which brings back to why is it going to be different usage model based on the consumer? And this goes back to the points of having to adapt to OTT. And I think the packages that were deployed, the Facebook package or the social media package, is an attempt to actually adapt to this new model of OTT. It's not enough by itself because you also need to monetize it. So this is where new commercial models will come to play that will support that usage, whether it's sponsored connectivity or trying to drive mobile advertisers to actually see that this platform is reaching their consumers. And this is where the problem is today. So it's going to be a combination of commercial models to make it work, a technical solution that will manage both cost and spectrum. This is not an easy thing that can be solved with technology immediately, but again, it's going to be a collaboration to make it happen.
Okay, we'll take more questions. Okay, Munir, please. The micro here, please. Ah, there, okay. Sorry. The micro is close to Ghazi. Go ahead.
Thank you, Toni. Ghazi Atalla, I'd like to ask just a question to the panel in general about what I believe is a fundamental challenge for operators. It's organizational agility. We talk about being able to, address opportunities and also address competition at the same time. Do the panelists believe that operators, as the term is a self-fulfilling prophecy, operators versus service providers, are today operators organizationally agile enough to be able to address the opportunities on one hand and also the challenges, the competition on the other hand?
I think they are managing now, but who will answer? Till now, they are
clearly, we are not.
They're handling well.
We are not today. We are not agile enough to meet that demand and to cope with the challenges. But we are taking concrete steps toward reaching that goal, and it's going to happen in any case. Otherwise, we will not be able to survive.
We're basically getting new tools and we're recruiting new people because it's not only the tools, we also need, I would say, a different perspective, and we have to get it outside, I would say, from our own organization to be able to address the challenges that are coming.
Nagi.
I think the supply value chain is completely shifting. The traditional role of operator is not anymore the same. The role of vendors and suppliers is not anymore the same. We can see that more and more vendors are stepping into operating networks. Operators are stepping into providing services. So the traditional role that we would see a few years back is not anymore the same today. So, and the operators who are capable and who succeeded in making that shift are the ones who will be the most agile to face the competition that they will have from non-traditional operators.
Any more comment? Yeah, Ahmad, please.
I think everybody answered the question. We see it's the same question. For us, we don't have 4G. If you're asking me, do we need to have 4G? I will say yes, we need to have 4G, and we're working towards that. So we don't have a choice but to be agile, and we're working towards that.
Thank you. Now, Munir, the micro to Munir, please. Okay.
So I have a question to the panel regarding the. We spoke about Hassan. You spoke about applying the business class and first class pricing model, which the operators and the industry has been talking about for a few years now. So my question, I have two questions to the panel. First question is, do you believe today your organizations, your processes and your networks are ready to apply this kind of model, which is charging QoS premiums, for example, to your high yield or VIP subscribers or enterprises? Are you ready to guarantee SLAs? If yes, great. If not, what is missing?
Please address to one person.
Yeah.
Because we have 7, 8.
And the second question, maybe to someone else, I asked last year, so just to see if something evolved from last year to this year, why not charging this premium also and sharing it with the OTT providers? For example, the ones who provide video, you charge them if they want to use your network with a quality of service guarantee on that video, so you can charge a royalty to the OTT player. Again, is this something that you believe is feasible, or you think that's something telecom operators will never be able to really put in practice.
Okay. Who will answer? Take the answer. I told you have to address your answer.
First, are we ready? I believe no. Simply because, again, we are still stuck with the same KPIs. We need to take ourselves out of these KPIs. We can't continue working on ARPU, minutes of use. We are still too dependent, as Hussain mentioned, on the voice revenue. We need to take ourselves out of this. And it's difficult to do it because we have also our boards and shareholders that are like expecting us to do always the right thing, which will limit your margin of maneuvering. Now, definitely, this model is not sustainable. We are all aware that we have a challenge, and we are like, if we continue doing our business the way we were doing it, it's not like this is not the future. So definitely we will have to improve, and we will have to monetize in a smarter way the data. But just to answer you that we are not doing as much as needed in that direction. This is one. Second, I believe we are also making a big mistake because we are like copying each other, sometimes blindly, without realizing that if someone is doing something wrong, we are just following because of competition. And this is completely wrong, in my opinion. So one has to like really move into the right direction in order for the others to follow. And if we see what happened in the European market, for example, operators were offering at the beginning unlimited data packages and offers in order to protect the data. And then suddenly we saw them stepping back from this and changing the pricing model. I hope that we will be going into that direction more for a simple reason, not only to protect our business model. As you know, it is an ecosystem. So if the operator is in a good shape, then this will help the whole ecosystem between operator, vendors, suppliers, content providers, and even the customer, because this is how the operator will be able to invest more in order to provide a better customer experience.
Thank you. We'll take the last question.
There was another one.
No more questions. That's very good. It seems everybody is hungry.
Okay.
Thank you, all of you. We'll take group photo now, and then we'll go for lunch.